Well, you guys, I've had you muted for the last 5 minutes. I was starting talking and I was muted, so none of you guys could hear anything that I said. We're doing a poll right now. Hopefully, you can hear me. And the question is, what is the most popular feature or feature that you use the most on the MarketBeat website or in general? A lot of you are saying my MarketBeat. A lot of you are saying Analyst ratings. No surprise on either of those. We added my MarketBeat like a year and a half ago, and that's become a very popular feature and not really long of a time. And then we've always kind of had the best coverage of Analyst ratings, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. So not surprising to see that that's a popular answer too. So thank you to those of you that are doing the poll. And we are officially going to get started in a minute. So I'll give you guys another minute to do the poll. And then we will get going. Okay, it is 3 o'clock in my calendar. The poll results. What is your favorite MarketBeat tool? 36% said my MarketBeat. 33% said Analyst ratings. 16% said the daily newsletters. 10% said instant alerts, and 6% said something else. So thank you to those of you that did the poll. It's 3 o'clock. We've got about 140 people on. Honestly, I expect another 100 people to show up in the next few minutes because people typically don't show up on time. But hopefully they'll catch the recording. We had 1,000 people register for this, and typically like 30% of people will show up for a webinar. So I see the number ticking up, and we'll just get going, and everyone else can join us as they kind of as we kind of move through. Before we do anything else, I do need to read a disclaimer to you guys. I think you've probably seen this in a lot of financial webinars, but nothing in this presentation shall constitute a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Trading stocks and options involves risk, and specific financial issues should be addressed with your financial advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. MarketBeat and its principals, that's me, Matthew Paulson. We are not registered financial advisors, and I definitely don't want to be one when I grow up. Not a job I aspire to be. So now that my lawyer is happy, we'll kind of go through the agenda for today. The title is Using MarketBeat to Research Stocks and Monitor Your Portfolio. So I'm going to show you on the MarketBeat website kind of how to do a whole bunch of different things. Before we get into deep, could you just type in the chat, maybe in the questions area, if you guys can hear me and see the screen, and make sure that everything is working like it's supposed to. So just say hi from wherever, and I'll say hi back to you, and then that way we'll know that everybody can see the screen, and that way everyone can hear the audio. Lots of people saying hi. Miranda from Tulsa, Oklahoma, welcome. Steven says hi from wherever. Michael Scott says hi. I wonder if that's actually Michael Scott or Michael Scott from the office. Got Mark, Ronald, Dean, lots of people saying hi. Got, wow, up to 194 people on a webinar. So glad to hear that you're all able to see the screen and get going. We'll get going. So what we're going to do today on the agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the philosophies behind MarketBeat. This will only take a few minutes, but we didn't do this on last week's webinar. I really want you guys to understand kind of why we do some of the things the way we do them, and how that's can be beneficial for all of our subscribers, which is all of you. We're going to cover a couple of updates on new MarketBeat features that we're working on. We've even launched some stuff since last Tuesday's webinar. So I'll show you some of the new features that we've launched. And yes, I did press the recording button, Renee. So hopefully the recording will be good to go. I'm going to talk about some new features that we've launched. I'll show you those and some more stuff we're working on. I'm going to walk you through my MarketBeat, how to do portfolio monitoring, how to set up alerts, make sure all that stuff's working okay. I'm going to go through some of the financial calendars on MarketBeat. Those are always quite popular. Walk through some of those and how to get some stock ideas through those. Gonna walk through company profile pages, some good stuff on those pages as well, especially the charts. I don't think most people know how to use all the features on the chart, so I'm gonna spend some time on that. And I'll show you a few things with MarketBeat All Access. I've got a deal if you want it, and we'll do some Q&A at the end. As we go through features, feel free to type in questions. The last week when we did this, people just typed in questions as we went, and I tried to answer them. And I think we'll do the same thing this week. So MarketBeat's mission, we seek to empower individual investors, that's you guys, to make better trading decisions by providing real-time financial data and objective market analysis. So we're here as a company to help you guys and to get you the information and the market data, calendars, whatever, news, headlines that you need to research trade, stock trades and positions and all that good stuff. So what does this mean for you guys? We have tried to build a MarketBeat as a service that is, one, affordable. The price range is free to $40 a month. You couldn't give me more money if you wanted to. Agora Financial, they're the big player in our space. They'll charge $2,000, $3,000 a year for their products, and our most expensive one is $500. So we really try to make this affordable for you. Try to make it easy to use. We try to make it accessible, so we don't have like a proprietary software download. We don't have to buy like a dedicated Bloomberg terminal. We try to make the site easy to use. We try to make it relevant, so we try to give you the information that matters to you and the companies in your stock portfolio. We try to make it insightful. We want to teach you stuff about your stocks that you don't own or that you don't know, and we want to help you identify trading ideas. And finally, we want MarketBeat to be responsive, which means we want to build tools and reports and data and everything that will help you guys do your stock research better. So those are kind of the core tenets of how we run this business. We want MarketBeat to be cheap. We want it to be easy to use. We want it to give you relevant information. We want it to educate you, and we want it to just really be helpful to you and how you guys do stuff. We also, we do offer comprehensive financial data and market data. We've got a lot of calendars on our website. If you compare like our analyst recommendations calendar to everybody else's, like the one on briefing.com or the one on TipRanks, you're going to see that ours is just a lot more comprehensive than some of those. And the reason is we rely on about 30 different data sources to make that calendar. And then we do some automated combining of the data. We check for errors. We merge duplicates. We know that like if somebody sets like a $5,000 price target on Apple, nobody's going to set that price target. So we know it's an error, and then we flag it and we check it. So we have some really good, just automated error checking on our calendars to just weed out bad data, and we just have better data sources than some of our competitors. So you might not notice that initially, but if you were to compare, you would find that our calendars tend to be more comprehensive. We are also aimed to have really a complete set of research tools for you guys. We want news for your stocks, reports, company data. We want to be your primary stock research site. And then finally, we don't editorialize the data. I'm not the Motley Fool. I'm not a stock guru that pitches stock picks. I don't cryptically tell you, here's 5 stocks to buy now, give me $2,000, and I'll tell you what the stock is. We don't do that. And all we are trying to do is provide objective information so that you guys can make better trades. Next thing we're going to do is talk about some new features that we've recently launched and some new stuff that we've got upcoming. A couple weeks ago, we added an insider buying and selling report, so you can see the stocks that have had the most insider buying and selling. Sorry about that. Here we can see we've got some questions. I'll get back to those in a second. We can see for the last 90 days, we've had a company called Ecolab have 6 insider purchases, and then 2 different people buy it. Let's look back, but like 6 months. Couple really interesting things, like we've had 8 different people buy shares of CenturyLink, 8 different people insiders buy shares of Wild Open West. So if you are operating under the assumption that corporate insiders know something about the stocks they are shareholders of, and you think them buying that is a good thing, or is an indication that the stock is going to go up, You can use that to identify this and then find some trading ideas. We've also got a list of stocks where a lot of insider selling is happening. GoDaddy has had 14 different insiders sell shares in the last 90 days. So obviously that might be indicative that their executives aren't super optimistic about the near term prospects for the company. Some questions that we're getting already. Mark Holman says, what email do you use to report errors or publishing or missing symbols? contact@marketbeat.com. How might one use MarketBeat to identify momentum stocks or ETFs or sectors breaking out? Hopefully we'll get to that as we go through. What response time do you provide your emails? We typically 24 hours. Is this real-time data? Yes, as soon as we get data in our database, it's on the website. I can't hear you. I have no audio. Not sure what to say about that. There will be a recording if you're having problems. And we'll hopefully try to, we'll get a recording on YouTube to fix that. Some other new features. We have some ETF research tools. We have an ETF screener for MarketBeat All Access subscribers. And then you can see here, we're going to have to hold off on questions for now. I'm just getting too many. We'll get to them at the Q&A at the end. But for ETFs, you can see we've got a bunch of new charts so that you can see the geographic exposure, what countries the ETF is exposed to, what sectors it is exposed to, what industries an ETF is exposed to, currencies as well. We've added that. So if you're looking at ETFs, we've got some more information now. Our sector performance map, Rebecca McKeever is on with me. She works for MarketBeat. We're working on the sector performance map today. It's a really neat thing that I like to show off as much as we can, but it will show you kind of in a map how different sectors are performing in the market at any given time. So we can see that today that a lot of financial industry, a lot of banks didn't do well today. We see Amazon did super well today, and you can kind of see the whole S&P 500 at the same time. Let's see. Got a couple people saying they have audio and no slides. That's a good question. I don't know how to do GoToWebinar that well. Click around in the buttons. Hopefully it'll come up. If you're having problems and I can't help you. Glenn says, tell people to log off and log back on. So if you're having audio problems or screen problems, try logging off, try logging back on. It's just sector map is here. Works pretty well. We're going to try to make it a little bit more readable, put some more space in between the sectors, but it's kind of a neat thing to check. And then when we do our new homepage, that's going to be right on the homepage as well. We just added a most upgraded and downgraded stocks report. This is available to our all access subscribers. So if you want to see, say here, Netflix was upgraded 28 times or had their price target increased in the last 90 days. Splunk, don't really know what they do. They've been upgraded 29 times in the last 90 days. And then we also have a most downgraded stocks page that we just added. And then say, L brands, if they used to be limited brands, they were downgraded or had their price target cut 17 times in the last 90 days. So that might be kind of a way to get some long and short positions, I guess for your trading ideas. One other thing I wanted to show you, we do now have a top-rated analyst page available to all access subscribers. So if you are familiar with tip ranks, very similar to that using our data. I think we have better data than they do. We don't have it made it the core tenet of our website like they have, but we do. If this page wants to load, we'll show you the ROI of individual analyst recommendations. We've always had broker recommendations, but now we're going to break that down to individual analysts. So you can say, okay, this analyst, their recommendations have done really well over a long period of time. Maybe I should take a look at their recommendations. That page is being kind of slow, so maybe we'll get back to that later. Some upcoming features, Rebecca and I are working on a new homepage. So we're going to make kind of a homepage that is more useful to people that are familiar with MarketBeat. So we're going to have news on a homepage, a sector map, some different little calendars that will expand. We are working on headlines, making them more relevant. There are some companies that have very generic names. I can't think of a good example, but say if you typed in General Electric and General Electric was more than just the name of the company, false positives would show up. So we're working on kind of fixing some of that stuff. We are going to make it easier to manage stocks in my MarketBeat, and we are going to hopefully add some more features that you guys tell us to add. So MarketBeat is really a tool that we have built for you guys. We want to make it as easy as possible for you guys to use. Back to the agenda. So now we're going to head on over to the MarketBeat website. Hey, there's the analyst rankings. So we can see a guy named Thomas Schrader from Stifel and Nicholas. I probably butchered that name. His recommendations have resulted in an average 12-month ROI of 157%, 30-day ROI of 7.5%, 7-day ROI of 12%. So basically, if you hold this guy's recommendations for a year, historically, who knows if that'll keep up, but he's returned 157% on his recommendations historically. Oh man, lots of questions today. So DC Nunes says, how many stocks can I have in my portfolio? If you're a free subscriber, you can have 5. If you're paying us any amount of money, it's unlimited. And then he also asks, what about international data? In a lot of our calendars, we have country drop down, so you can say I only want to see US, UK, or Canadian ratings. So you can filter that by country on a lot of the reports. Okay, and then Sirium says, can you add a column here about these analyst buy and sell recommendations? Yeah, so if you go back to the top rated analyst page that we were at, if you click on their name on that report, it will show you their most recent recommendations. We're going to walk through my MarketBeat and hold for questions at my MarketBeat until we're kind of done with this. But here you can see the portfolio that I set up last week. Whoops, I made myself not MarketBeat Daily Premium subscriber by accident. That's all right. I can't add any new stocks right now. I can change them. I should have looked at my account before I did this, but here you can see I made a portfolio called, I think I'm actually going to fix this quick so you guys are going to see a little bit of the back end of MarketBeat. Nobody's ever seen this before. All right, I need to make myself an all access. All right. Okay, so this is what it will look like to most of you. So I'm going to create a new watch list. We're going to add a stock to it. We are going to add some retailers. So we'll make a watch list for retailers. And then let's say that I want to add some stocks to my retailers watch list. I'll add Target, I'll add Walmart, and then I'll add Walgreens and CVS. I think CVS is publicly traded. And then I'm going to add that to my retailers watch list, and I'm going to enable alerts for it. So now I've added a bunch of stocks to my watch list, and they should show up here. So now I've got like a watch list for banks. I have typed in my holdings value. Oh, Dean told me to slow down. Sorry, I will slow down. I drank a Red Bull just now. I'm not sure if that was a good idea or not. So we're on to my MarketBeat page. Frank says still no video. You might have to click a button that says show screen, or if it's not working, try just logging out and logging back on. Otherwise, you just have to watch the recording. This is the main My MarketBeat page. You can have unlimited portfolios. So you want to add a stock, you can add one stock at a time. Or if you want to add a bunch, you can add a whole bunch at a time. You just put one per line like that, and it's really easy to do. You can have unlimited watch lists, unlimited stocks. You can make this page as long as you want to. Somebody said Walgreens is now WBA, I think. So we're going to add that. There we go. Yeah, Walgreens Boots Alliance. Thank you, Clement. So here in my bank's portfolio, I typed in my cost basis. So you type in average, picked the average cost basis. So let's say I paid $25 for these Bank of America shares on average. Now it's worth $28.96. So then that would show me my ROI of 15.8%, and then my blended ROI for all the stocks in that portfolio. Show you the PE ratio for your stocks, the beta for your stocks, dividend information, consensus recommendation, and consensus price target as well. And we are going to add check boxes to these so you can bulk delete and bulk move them around and bulk enable alerts. Somebody asked if we can do tickers from Excel. Your best bet there is just to copy and paste them. So if you've got a list, you would just copy and paste them here and click Add Stocks. That's what I would recommend doing. If you want to see one watch list, you can filter it out in the ticker or in that drop down here, and then it will, for all of these, it will only show you the data for that watch list. We're going to switch it back to all watch lists now. Somebody asked if we can add an earnings date checkbox. Problem is we don't really have any more room here, but it is on the calendar here. So it will show you the dates for your earnings announcements. Pretty much any important date for your stock. So if a company's going to do a stock split, it'll put that date on there. Ex-dividend dates, dividend payable dates, earnings dates, anything like that. Somebody asked if we can do cannabis stocks, OTC stocks. Yes, they're pretty much all in here. If there's a stock missing, send us an email. We can add those in pretty easily. We try to be as comprehensive as possible for companies. Should be no problem to add. Canadian stocks, UK stocks, Australian stocks, no problem. This is the My Statistics page. Right now it says 100% of my portfolio is in finance because I only typed in my portfolio numbers for those. These are made up numbers, by the way. We can say it's all in finance. These are my biggest holdings. Here is my PE ratio, 13. The average MarketBeat user has a PE ratio of 17. That's kind of interesting that I'm a little bit less risky than the average. Show you a beta number. Of course, beta is the volatility of your stock portfolio relative to the S&P 500. So we can say that the average MarketBeat user has a beta of 1.14, and my beta is 1.31. So obviously, the higher the beta, the more risky it is relative to the S&P 500. The lower beta, it's less volatile compared to the S&P 500. Got some neat stuff with dividends. It will show you your blended portfolio dividend yield as well as your annual dividend payment if you type in the number of shares that you own, and obviously your top yielding dividend stocks and then your payments that are coming up. Headlines. We've got a headline section that will show you news for your stocks. It's only news for your stocks. It's not news for any other companies. So you can see that there. It's kind of neat. You can view recent analyst recommendations for companies in your watch list. Anything that's on this ratings page would show there. We've also got the brokerage rankings there. What they did, the company, what their recommendation was, the price target. You can see recent insider buying and selling activity. Lots of people for sales for selling stock recently. That's interesting. But you can see all the recent insider transactions. That if you want to see the details, you can click through to the SEC website and see them there. Earnings announcements. So you can see the recent earnings data for your company. So as they publish their earnings, you can see how they're doing. You can review recent SEC filings for your stocks through your Net tab. Click through the SEC, see the full report if you want to. Social this is from StockTwits, so you can see recent mentions of your stock on StockTwits to see what kind of the social chatter for your companies is. And then you can, if I think I really load that, it should show MarketBeat Daily Premium. This page should, I think I broke it again, but this page should show your MarketBeat Daily Premium subscription, your newsletter right there. You can also get a fresh copy of your newsletter right here in this menu item. So if you want to see, say I'm a daily rating subscriber, I can see that, and you can see any of our other newsletters. So you might not be a MarketBeat CryptoBeat subscriber, but if you want to check out what that newsletter is like and see what's in our cryptocurrency newsletter, you can certainly check that out on this My Newsletters page. Also our Dividend Advisor newsletter. Just take a second to load because they're kind of long, and then our Insider Trades newsletter as well. You can check any of those out. If you want to subscribe to any of them, you just click the My Subscriptions button, and then you say, I'm not a MarketBeat Dividend Advisor subscriber. I can click that subscribe button, and then you're automatically subscribed. If you ever want to unsubscribe from anything, there's a manage your subscription link. I'll let you do that as well. We've got plenty of account settings. There was a premium subscriber, they would show up. And there is a page to manage all of your alerts. So you can toggle email alerts and SMS alerts pretty easily there. I think that's pretty much it for kind of the My MarketBeat stuff. Before we kind of go on, are there any more questions about how to use My MarketBeat and some of that, any of these features? Feel free to type your questions in. I'm not seeing any. I haven't actually got any questions in the last 5 minutes. DC Numa says, all right, there we go. Show more. Mark asked if it's mobile. Yes, it's mobile. So if you show it on the phone, it'll look great. Short interest, do we have any of that data? Kind of. I'll show you guys that in a little bit. Mark asked for technical charts. We'll get to that. Is there any way to identify potential stocks to either buy or sell? There's plenty of them. We'll show you some of those ways to get ideas. Gil says, how do you calculate consensus price target? Great question. So we'll go to a company. Wells Fargo is a bank that's big in South Dakota, so I use them as an example a lot. But we take the data from, I think it's the last 12 months, the most recent price target from each different broker, and then we come up with a consensus, kind of an average price target from the most recent research report from each analyst that's issued a price target. And then we've got a full breakdown of what those ratings are and then that consensus price target and how that has changed over time. Tim asked about the stock screener. We'll get back to that. Can you export symbols? I think so. Sri asked about the premium membership. We'll get to that as well at the end. So we talked about My MarketBeat. Let's look at some of the calendars now. There's plenty of calendars on the MarketBeat website. We're going to look at that. Getting a lot of questions. We're going to go through the calendars and we'll do some more questions. So we can see our analyst ratings here. If you're a premium subscriber, that ad wouldn't be there. But you can see we've got recommendations from pretty much every major research house. You can filter these by what the rating is, country, what it is. If you only want to see analyst upgrades, you can see those. You only want to see upgrades for large cap companies, you can do that. So you want to say ratings for aerospace companies, it's really easy to do. And we've got recommendations for US companies, Canadian or UK companies, Canada, kind of the rest of Europe, if you want to see. There's some German companies and Swiss companies. And you can also kind of look up ratings for any company here. And we'll go to the company profile pages in a little bit. We've got a report of different buyback announcements. That's usually a good buy signal. Companies going to buy back shares. It's kind of like a forced dividend with a reinvestment. We're going to skip cryptocurrencies for today. I think we're talking about stocks. A couple of people ask about price. So far, everything I've shown you guys is pretty much free. The price is either free to $40 a month. So buyback announcements, like My MarketBeat is free, the analyst ratings is free, calendars are free. We have lots of dividend tools. The dividend screener is probably one of my favorites. So if you want to see good dividend stocks, say I want to see stocks that have a payout ratio of 75% or less. I want to see 5 years dividend growth, a dividend yield above 3%. You can find some really good companies pretty easily. And see, so if you want to see really high yield, crazy dividend stocks, you can do that. There's a high yield dividends page. I'm not a big believer in investing in a company just because it has a big dividend. These 30, 20, 15% dividends are pretty dangerous. Typically, don't stick around. You want to see dividend stocks that have increased their dividend every year for 25 years. We've got a list of those. That's the dividend aristocrats. Dividend achievers, companies have raised their dividends for 10 years. You might see special dividend announcements, you can do that. You can list of upcoming economic reports, or if you look at those, you can put those on your calendar as well. You've got insider trades. You can see those. These are always behind a couple of days, and the reason is because the transaction, the reporting always happens a couple of days after the trade. People don't turn in their trades right away. So it's not that it's really delayed, it's just that the insider trades filers don't turn them in right away. And I showed you guys this earlier, but the top stocks with most insider buying. If you want a good way to get some buy ideas, find a company that has had a lot of different insiders buying. The only reason a CEO or a CFO buys more of the company's stock is if they think the stock price is going to go up. I think that's usually a pretty good indicator. And we'll get through these and answer some more questions. Then insider selling as well. You can see upcoming IPOs. You want to see like when a lockup, when an IPO is going to expire their lockup, you can see that. So if my company goes public and I'm the CEO, I own a bunch of shares, I can't sell them for like 6 months. And then typically when a lockup expiration ends, a company, when people that own pre-IPO shares can sell, usually that's a sign that sometimes the stock price will go down, so that might be a short opportunity. Again, I'm not trying to tell you strategy. I'm just saying this is what some people do. Lots of calendars. I won't go through all of these, but 52-week highs and lows, stocks that gap up and down, low PE stocks. So these are companies that are undervalued, trading at really low PE ratios. You want to see the day's biggest gainers. You can see those. Whole lot of stuff. Sector performance map. I'll look at this again. It's probably my favorite thing in MarketBeat. It took forever to make. You can see in one fell swoop how different sectors of the market are doing. We've got, want to see when the stock market is closed. It was closed on Monday. You can see that. You look up SEC filings, so we'll have a big feed of these. And if I only want to see 10K forms, you can see that. If you filter by stock symbol, you can do that. You can view upcoming stock splits. I'm going to try to get back to some of these questions quick. Try to keep up. There's a lot more than last time. Got 250 of you on here, so that's why we're getting a lot of questions. All right. How do you come up with the different rankings for analysts? It's based off the ROI of their buy recommendations. So if an analyst is, their buy recommendations consistently do well 12 months after they make their recommendation, we calculate the average of that. So my assumption is that you're going to buy the analyst recommendations for a year, then hold them and sell them. That is what how those rankings are calculated. People are having some audio problems. Sorry about that. It seems to happen every webinar. How does analyst ratings affect the price of a stock? Good question, Gil. In my experience, typically the bigger research houses tend to push stock prices in one direction or another. So like JP Morgan Chase, Merrill Lynch, Goldman Sachs, they tend to push a stock price up or down based if it's a good report or a bad report. But some of the smaller firms that don't have as big of a client base, like this H.C. Wainwright, Stevens, if you don't have a bunch of institutional clients, they tend to not push the price as much either way. Joseph says, which period of time is the consensus rated calculated for? Consensus ratings, they are typically it's over the last year. Anything that's in the last 12 months is what we consider. I have a suggestion. We'll check that out later. Is there a warrant listing? No, there's not, Gary. Gary, a different Gary asks, is there a way to get on the buy list of IPOs? Not that I can help you with. Somebody asked about the price impact count. So this is, somebody asked about the price impact column on the analyst ratings calendars. Let's look at that quick. So it says impact on share price here. This is a partnership we have with a company called Use Quantified. They will track the time that an analyst recommendation is released and try to guess. You'll come up with an estimate of how much the market was moved by that. So if you want to see recommendations that really move the market, that's what that is. Short interest over time would be a nice add. That is a good note. We're looking for a good short interest data source. We don't really have a great one right now. We're working on that. Next thing I want to do is kind of go over to a company profile page and look at some charts. So this is probably what I think is the best feature of MarketBeat. These are, we have a profile page for every company in S&P 500, and really beyond that too, UK companies, Canadian companies, OTC companies. You can think of it as probably on the list. We have some basic kind of metrics at the top that kind of change every day. Description of the company, information, some basic sales numbers and ratios, different PDU, a trailing PE ratio, forward PE ratio, debt to equity ratios, profitability numbers, number of employees, how many shares there are. Got a nice FAQ section, information about the dividend. There's actually more than that. Most recent stock split. If you want to kind of know what's been going on with the stock recently, you just read through the FAQ questions. Some quotes from Analyst. Short interest is on there. Who some Apple's competitors are, who their executives are, what the sentiment has been news-wise, who their biggest shareholders are, who's been buying and selling company stock, and just lots of stuff to read up on there if you really want to. We have a partnership with a company called Tegnify to do financials. So once this loads, you can see an up-to-date income statement for a company. This works for most U.S. companies. You can see that by year. You can also do it by quarter. You can also see a current balance sheet. You can do that for a company. And then a cash flow statement as well, if you want to look at that. Some very good financials there if you want to kind of dive into those numbers. Again, the Analyst Ratings tab. You can see their consensus rating, how that's changed over the last month, 3 months, and 6 months, and how their rating score has changed, kind of a current breakdown of ratings, consensus price target, and then how much upside there is on that consensus price target from the current price. You scroll down a little bit, you can have a nice little graph of the share price, that's the white line, and the consensus price target, that's the blue line. So if there is a bigger gap between the current price and then the consensus price target, that's a sign that analysts think there's a lot of upside in the stock. And then you can see the most recent ratings from each broker on the page too. Lots of good information about dividends here. You can see when the most recent payment was, what the annual dividend is, a chart of how their dividend has changed over time. Apple just raised their dividend. That's kind of neat. Looks like they added 10 cents to their dividend. Their dividend yield is 1.15%. They've grown their dividend by an average of 10% per year over the last 3 years. We've got lots of different cash flow or payout ratio calculations based off different numbers that people have requested. So some people like to look at cash flow, their dividend as a percentage of cash flow, because typically the good indicator of a company to keep paying their dividend is what percentage of the cash flow is the dividend. So we added that recently. How long has the company been growing their dividend? Is it a monthly dividend, a quarterly dividend, semi-annual? We see that. And kind of a full history of the company's dividend there. We've got earnings history, so you can say these are the quarterly numbers. Apple always has a good Q4, you can see that, and then estimates for quarters in the future are the ones in white. So then we've got consensus estimates by quarter for the next kind of couple of years. Earnings history here, you can see those. Mark says, can the screens be cut and pasted? Yes, you can do screenshots if you want to. That's no problem to do that. If you want to do a screenshot, put it in the report. Don't let me stop you there. The Insider Trades tab. You can see recent insider buying and selling transactions for a stock. You can see, Apple's had a lot of insider selling, no insider buying. And then you can see the institutional. This probably doesn't really belong on this page, but I didn't have another place to put it. But kind of the money flow in and money flow out from institutional buyers in the last couple quarters, several quarters. So if if institutional buyers are buying a lot of shares of the stock, it's a good sign. If they're selling a lot more than they're buying, that's typically a bad sign, right? We see headlines for a particular company. You can see every company, or if you just want to limit it to some of the bigger names, you can filter down to trusted sources. So that will be like MarketWatch and Forbes and Seeking Alpha and CNBC. Some of the more known quantities of news sources, but we do have the everything option if you want to include some smaller sites as well. You can see SEC filings for a company. You can do that. Also see more from StockTwits mentions. We might actually replace this with a place where you guys can type comments in on a company. I know like Yahoo Finance has like a comment section for stocks. We might replace this with that. That's kind of on my radar for something to do. And then charts, we're going to look at these. So here is the chart for Apple. It's got some nice drawing tools. We partner with a company called TradingView for these, and you can add a lot of technical things. Want to add Bollinger Bands, like you can do that. You can compare it with another stock. So you could say I want to compare it to. No, we don't do that. We'll do Google. If you want to compare Apple to Google, it'll add Google in there. Does a whole bunch of different stuff. Drawing tools, different ways to show you can do bars, you can do lines. You really got to click around. I'm going to reload this because I just made a mess of it. Like some people want like a moving average. You can see a chart of that. Add a bunch of those to the bottom. It should show up. Actually, I guess they put them here now. We can see how the moving average has changed over time. Lots of good stuff in here. Different types of charts. I don't even know what's all in here. Pretty much any technical indicator you would want is in there. So if you are looking for technical indicators, they're there. You just got to press this button right here. Fred says it'd be great if you could add short interest on charts. I agree, that would be great. Not there yet. But yeah, short interest is something we're working on. That's pretty much it for company profiles pages. You guys have any more questions about what these do and don't do? Good time to type them in would be now. All right, let's move on. I'm sure we'll get more questions at the end. So we talked about the calendars, we talked about the company profile pages, and I want to show you a couple of the MarketBeat all access features that people that are paying us money can get. We have a nice stock screener that you can use. So if you want to find a company, certainly, it's not the fanciest stock screener in the world, but if you use MarketBeat, maybe it's a tool that you want to use. We also have an ETF screener. If you want to look for an ETF that meets certain criteria, if I want to find an ETF that focuses on Asia Pacific stocks, you can just do that and do a search. This is a pretty new tool. We launched it in the last month. That's there. This is our Analyst rating screener. So if you want to find ratings that meet a specific criteria, you can do that. So if I say I only want to see stuff from Goldman Sachs, I find it. And I only want to see their upgrades, I can do that. And then you can see all their upgrades. And then if I want to keep an eye on these recommendations, I can click Save. And then I'm going to make what's called a saved search. This is a feature that not many people use, but if you like to follow analyst recommendations, it's a really neat tool. And then you go over to the Saved Rating Searches button. and then it'll show that then I can rerun that search anytime, and then you can also get new results sent to you by email. So like here's this, the guy from Stephanopoulos, again, probably pronounced that wrong. If you only want to see his ratings because he was the top rated analyst on our report, you can go and see that there. We have a dividend screener. I think I showed this to you guys already. If you want to see earnings announcements that meet specific criteria, you can do that. Same for insider trades. I showed you the top rated analysts and brokerages. I maybe didn't show you the top rated brokerages. Looks like JP Morgan is our top rated broker right now. This changes every year. I won't put don't know how much stock I would put into it. Except for last year. It'll take a minute to load. Last year was kind of a different list, so I mean, just make sure to watch how that changes over time because it's who's the best analyst seems to change from year to year. Somebody says, can you include investor relations contact info in a company profile? It's actually already there. If you go down to the bottom here, it will have how do I contact this company? It's got their phone number and then their investor relations email. So that's there. Aftab Hussein says, do I have any info on options? MarketBeat currently doesn't. Honestly, options is not a subject that I know a whole lot about, and I should probably learn more about it so I can add it for you guys, but right now we don't. Do we have a list of stocks that are breaking out technically? No, we do not, unfortunately. Don't have that. Let's show a couple more things in MarketBeat All Access that you guys might like. If you want to see the list of stocks that have the best analyst ratings, we can do that. So you can say show me the stocks that have the highest average consensus rating. This company called Preferred Bank. It's currently at the top of the list. They've got 6 ratings, and apparently they're all buy or strong buy ratings. You can go down the list, obviously filter by country, market cap, and sector. If you want to see only dividend stocks, you can do that. We've got a report for that. I like dividend stocks, which is why we have so many dividend tools. If you want to see which stocks are trending, so which stocks you guys are subscribing to the most, obviously there's a lot of usual suspects on this list. Let's say I only want to see small cap stocks that everyone else in MarketBeat seems to be following. Probably a company called Garen. I don't know. But 117 of you have added it to your watch list in the last 30 days. So that's kind of interesting. That might be something to look at. And then we have some news sites, so we track the number of page views on these companies as well. So if you could see, companies kind of trending this way, maybe it's something to start paying attention to. We have most upgraded stocks. If you want to see all the stocks that were upgraded the most or downgraded the most. If you want to compare different stocks, you can type in 5 companies and then compare them on a whole bunch of different metrics. I pre-populated with some banks, so you can do that. You could type in Apple, Google, Microsoft, let's say Salesforce, I guess. Compare all of them. Anything in this column is for MarketBeat All Access subscribers. You got to pay us. Somebody asked, can I get all this on my smartphone? Yes. If you look at MarketBeat on kind of a phone view, I'm going to reload it. So this is what MarketBeat looks on the iPhone X. The ad typically won't be that big though. But you've got a whole menu. Everything that's on our main site is available on our mobile stuff, our mobile site. So it works really well. We've done a good job to try to make it work. Yeah, any phone, Android or iPhone, it'll work fine. Crap. We got out of there. Go back to the desktop. It should work fine. A couple other things I want to show you guys. We have live news feeds, so if you want to see kind of our whole, you want to see basically all of the news that comes into our system, you can do that. Or you can only do it for your watch list. So if you want to monitor your watch list throughout the day, you could leave this open up on a monitor, and then every 60 seconds it updates, so that you can just kind of glance at it every now and then. You don't have to click the refresh button. It just all happens through JavaScript magically. So every minute or so, this will update, and you can see the latest headlines for your stocks if you just want to watch them throughout the day. The idea engine is probably my favorite feature. And what this is kind of a new sentiment based way to generate stock ideas. And it's not always right, but a lot of times it is. When I look at last week's recommendations, I think a couple weeks ago we did really well. A company called Epizyme. Our company, our algorithm picked it out when it was at 1565. Now, if we look at it now, it's trading at 1737, so it was up 8.6% after 7 days. It was up 11% since the recommendation. And the way this thing works is that we look at all of our data, and when good news happens for a stock, company gets upgraded, increases their dividend, beats earnings, anything like that, we give it a kind of a +1 or a +2. Or if there's some bad news, we give it a -1 or -2 on your score. So then obviously then we print out the highest rated scores over the course of a week. So this Epizyme company was had the highest score of 18. There's no like top or bottom, it's just the higher the score, the better. And like here we see that analysts raised their estimates. Actually 2 or 3 of them did. They beat their earnings. Some more increase in analyst estimates, and then an upgrade from a firm called Value Engine. So lots of good news for that stock. We picked that out after all of those things happened. And then once we made that pick, a week later, it was up 8.6%. Luminex, that was up, another recommendation was up 4.1%. Oasis Petroleum, another company, was up 9.7%. Jacobs Engineering was only up 0.3%. This thing's not always right. It's an algorithmic thing. Last week it didn't do so hot. It was flat on Home Depot basically. It was flat on Dropbox. Wow, last week was not very good. It was down on Synologic. Market was down a little bit, and then Stantec was break even, and then TripAdvisor was up 3%. Go back a little bit, like May 7th, we were up 6% in economy. Whiting Petroleum, we were up 4%. Callaway Golf, we were up 4%. Cummins, we were up 1.2%. It does, and then Generac, I think, is up 7%. So every week this thing will spit out 5 kind of ideas, and then typically, if it's working right, we've seen stocks go up 5-10% over the course of a week. Texas Instruments was up 2%. MB Financial was down 2%. Caterpillar was up 1.1% a week later. These are short-term recommendations because the news kind of wears off over time. Company gets good news, people forget about it a week later. So my thought on these is you buy them, you hold them for a week, and you sell them because people forget about the good news pretty quickly. FLIR was up 0.2% a week after we recommended it, and then we can just go down the list. Yeah, I mean, we've had some misses. Netflix was down a week later. So don't think it's perfect. It's not. You should probably do your own research on these. Don't just follow the algorithm because the algorithm was something that I made up. Gary says, how is the score determined? So like a good news item like this, Oppenheimer boosted their estimates, that'd be a +1. And then any good news item is a +1. If it's a really good news item like a dividend increase, an analyst upgrade from a big firm, it's a +2. Then like an analyst downgrade, it's like a -2. Emmy Hemler says, do you give same ideas for what stocks to sell? No, we actually don't. That's kind of a good idea. I'm going to look into that. That is a good idea because we calculate scores for every stock. And certainly there's a stock that has the lowest score, so we could probably look at doing that too. So basically we add up all of the scores from the good items and the bad items, and then we come up with a number, and then whichever companies get the highest number of good items versus bad items, they're at the top of the list for the week. So that's the idea engine. This week's ideas, these were just released on Mondays. Urban Outfitters, that was an idea, down 1%. I think the market was kind of down today though. Parsley Energy down 1%. Noble Energy break even. AutoZone down not quite 1%. So this week not so hot, but certainly not terrible either. I think the market's been down. Yeah. percent today. So that's that. A couple other things on the MarketBeat All Access. I showed you the idea engine. If you want to export data to Microsoft Excel or a CSV file, you can do that. I think we give you 6 months of data, so if you want to export your portfolio from your watch list, you can do that. Analyst recommendations, dividend announcements, earnings announcements, insider trades. Pick out a country, pick out a time period. We'll give you an Excel file. So there's that. We only have a little bit of time left. I don't think I set this for an hour. I'm hoping it won't kick us off after an hour. It says we've got 2 minutes left, so I'm gonna show you guys the discount if you want it, and hopefully it won't kick us off. We can keep asking some questions. But if you guys want a discount on MarketBeat All Access, normally it's $40 a month or $400 a year. I'll give you half off for the first year. So here's a link. It's bit.ly/MarketBeat webinar. I'm going to type that into the chat for you guys. Webinar. If you want to check that out, you can get half off on MarketBeat All Access for a year, and then it goes up to the normal price. Certainly check that out. And that MarketBeat All Access you can see here, kind of on our product comparison page. MarketBeat All Access is everything. So MarketBeat Daily Premium includes some of the stuff. MarketBeat All Access includes everything. So if you want to kind of see what you get with what, all of the research tools over here, top-rated analysts, top-rated stocks, you get all that with MarketBeat All Access. If you just want my MarketBeat, that's free. Go ahead and play with that all day long. I don't care. But if you want some of these other, like the idea engine, you want the compare stocks tool, you want to see a list of top-rated analysts and brokers, that's there. Fred says, can we get any credit or refund on our current subscription? Yes. So if you sign up for MarketBeat All Access, you'll get a credit for any like unused time that you have. So let's say you signed up 6 months ago, you paid $100, you got $50 credit. We'll apply that, and it automatically gets added on to the end of your subscription. Discount on premium. DC Nunez asks, check your email tomorrow. We're going to have a sale on that later in the week. Aftap Hussein says, I'm already a premium subscriber of MarketBeat. How much do I need to pay for All Access? Same price. It's $200 a year. And then if you already have time on MarketBeat Daily Premium, you'll get that added to the end of your MarketBeat All Access subscription. Other questions? Siriam says, I'm on a monthly subscription. Can I cancel that? Sign up for 50% savings. Yep. So if you are a MarketBeat Daily Premium subscriber, you fill out the form here. It'll automatically cancel your other subscription, so you're not paying this twice. So if you are like a Daily Premium subscriber, you want to upgrade, this form will take care of everything. It'll cancel your existing subscription. Somebody asked, Michael asked, how do I find out what my existing subscription is? And it's under my MarketBeat, there's a My Subscriptions tab. It'll tell you what you're paying for. So these are all the free ones, and then here are the pay ones. Here, it should say that I'm subscribed to MarketBeat and subscribe to MarketBeat All Access. Miri says, do you list future webinars on the website? I do not. These are kind of as I think about it kind of thing, but we're probably going to do another one of these next month. Hopefully we'll do another, and then we're going to send out this recording. We did get it recorded this time, thank God. We're going to send that out soon. A few more questions. Ron Lowe says, I'm on a trial subscription. Am I eligible for the upcoming premium special? Yeah, send us an email. We'll make sure you're taken care of on that. Just send an email to contact@marketbeat.com and just tell Stevie, our customer service person, that you want the discount that we're going to offer tomorrow. We will certainly get you taken care of there. Ian says, your discount offer is good until when? Honestly, I'll probably never take the link down. I typically forget to do that. So if you want to bookmark this and sign up for a week from now, I'm not going to stop you. It probably won't expire, to be honest. P&D says, I just got the 1 month with $1 and $2.99 offer. Again, send us an email if you want this discount. We'll certainly take care of that. Alan says, is there a phone number to reach you? So MarketBeat is a company of 4 people. So we can't sit by the phone all day and answer phone calls. But if you leave us a voicemail, one of us can call you back. There is a voicemail number down here at the bottom. It's 844-978-6257 if you want to leave us a voicemail. And then one of us, either Rebecca, myself, Don, or Stevie, one of us will call you back or email you and get you taken care of if you want to leave us a voicemail. Sirium says, I couldn't hear you properly. Did you say if I sign up for the $199 annual subscription, that my current monthly subscription automatically cancels? Yes, it will automatically cancel. So if you're a MarketBeat Daily Premium subscriber, you fill out the form at this URL, bit.ly/MarketBeat-webinar. That's how you get the $199 price, and it'll automatically clear out any existing subscriptions you have. Any other questions? Good time to ask any questions about MarketBeat. I'll stay on as long as you guys need to. If you've heard everything you want to hear, feel free to jump off the webinar. We will be sending out a recording. So that'll happen. Hopefully tomorrow we'll get that on YouTube, email that out. Chris says, thank you for a lovely webinar, but due to working in poor sound quality, I missed it a bit. Sorry about that, Chris. I didn't have my good microphone with me. I left it at my office downtown. Doing this out of my house today, so we're gonna try. Hopefully the next one I'll get my good microphone and it'll be better. I think we're done here. So thanks for coming on the webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to hit us up, contact@marketbeat.com. Stevie is our customer service person. She typically answers questions late at night. So we typically always try to answer questions in 24 hours. Worst case scenario is 48 hours. How do we download the slides? I'll email those out too. And then we'll email out the recording as well. I think that's it. So thanks, everybody. Any more questions, just hit us up on email or leave us voicemail. We will get back to you as quick as we can. If you have any problem, if you have any problems, you need to talk to me directly. My email is just matt@mattpaulson.com. I'll type that in the chat. Always happy to hear from MarketBeat subscribers. Feel free to send me an email too. All right, lots of good notes. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to turn off the webinar now, and we'll call it a day.